Well, hello. It's great to have you here today as we take another look at what it takes to be a great house church leader or small group leader, depending on what church you're in, or maybe it even goes by a different name, a community group or family group. But it's that small group that's the heartbeat of so many churches. And we're trying to put together this series of videos to help us be excellent at doing that. And today, our topic is the gathering. And honestly, as a house church, you're going to gather quite a bit. That may sound a little vague, but when you have a Sunday service together, that's a gathering. If you have a midweek, that's a gathering. If you're getting together for a birthday party, that's a gathering or a prayer time. Anytime that group comes together, that's your gathering. And so, what does it take for that gathering to be a success? I think we can draw some direction here from Ephesians 4, verse 16. He makes the whole body fit together perfectly, as each part does its own special work. It helps the other parts grow so the whole body is healthy and growing and full of love. And I think we're looking here to see how all the little parts fit together to make our house church great. And part of that is talking certainly about the fact that each person brings unique gifts and all of them together really help the body to have what it needs. I think another part of it is, though, is the body functioning well together. Are we working together to make sure that we're accomplishing the same purpose? And a lot of times, that doesn't happen just by accident. It takes some intentional work and training in order for that gathering to be a time that's really refreshing. You know, this picture painted here in this passage is one of love and connection. And I think one of the biggest things about love is it's intentional. It's a decision. And today I want to look at three things that if we make an intentional decision will help make our gatherings really great. And the first thing is atmosphere. Then the second is inclusion. And then the third is order. And I think if we do these three things well, they'll go a long way towards helping Christians to let their natural love overflow because they're focused on making it special. Because one of the key elements of people coming to any of your gatherings is how do they feel when they're there? It's not that it's a perfectly prepared lesson or perfectly prepared food or whatever's going on, but what is the feeling they get? And that's what we're going to look at here. And first is atmosphere. As they walk in, what are they walking into? Often it will be somebody's home. Is it picked up? It's not that we need to walk into expensively furnished places, but is it picked up? Was the vacuum cleaner run? Was a little dusting done? Does it have a nice music playing in the background? Maybe cool jazz or something, or classical piano or whatever you like. Is there maybe a candle lit? Are there some snacks out? You don't have to have a lot of snacks, but it's amazing how far a pitcher of tea and a bowl of grapes will go just to have a little snack and for people to feel at ease and have something kind of to hold and sip on. But that atmosphere when they first walk in, was it inviting? And so often the difference between uninviting and inviting is maybe 15, 20 minutes of energy and effort put to spruce the place up just a little bit. And sometimes we need to take into consideration how big our group is and make sure that the place we're meeting is large enough. And sometimes we're meeting outdoors or in a park, but then have we made the effort to make that look as good as it can? Maybe we can always bring snacks to that, and maybe bring a couple extra folding chairs, or maybe we brought a game we can play off to the side when we're done, cornhole or something like that. But is the atmosphere going to be inviting? Is it going to be fun? Are people going to be like, man, it feels good to be here? But after you've set the atmosphere, another key element for folks is, do they feel included? And you've probably experienced when you've been to a setting where everybody kind of knows each other and you kind of feel like you're on the fringe even though you're amongst these people. And some people are very shy and don't really step forward, so they can even be more off into the corner and by themselves. And so are you thinking actively about making sure everybody's included? Are you training others in the house church about including people including them into the conversations? You being a bright welcomer and making sure that everybody who comes in is welcomed, and then everybody knows everybody. You go around and you introduce everybody and make sure that if someone's new, they get to meet people, and maybe you share a little nugget of information about people there that's always something that's encouraging or good to know. but it just sets a tone. Do you make sure that people are drawn into conversations? Asking questions. It can be as simple as just looking at them and bringing them into whatever conversation's going on, and maybe inquiring about their day or what one of their interests or their hobbies is. And especially going the extra mile for those folks that are timid. Sometimes you just have to kind of, as my daughter would say, carry the conversation. You put that baby on your back and go, but it's well worth it in order for people to feel like they're important and they're a part. And also, I think when people share, value what they offer. Just don't let them finish talking and then you kind of move on to the next thing. But, make a comment like, oh, I really appreciate that. Or, oh, that was interesting or cool or whatever. But you want them to be brought into the small talk and chit chat before the evening's event starts and afterwards. It just helps people to feel like, man, I belong here. This is a place that I can feel good about coming to. And then once you've kind of set your atmosphere and you've included people, you got to keep it going. And I think one of the key elements to that is just making sure you maintain order. And what do I mean when I say maintain order? Well, if you're in the middle of discussion and somebody's going long, you help gently allow them to wrap up and move on to the next person. If someone goes off topic, you bring them back in. Sometimes it might be something as simple as saying, hey, we can talk about that a little bit more later on. That's a little off topic of what we're doing right now. If someone maybe gets a little testy or difficult, you just, gently pull them back in and, maybe resolve it afterwards. But you want to make sure that the environment stays healthy while you're there. That doesn't mean that people can't disagree. I totally think that is an environment you want to build, but it's a healthy disagreement, not one that's filled with a lot of tension or discord or overpowering each other with opinions, which are opinions. They're not fact. But it's important to keep order. And then it's also, I think, one of the key things is ending on time. Don't let these things run long. Because one of the beauties of it is when you end on time, people start to always count on that. And so they feel like they can plan accordingly. They don't have to worry about it running on long. And that way, they can stay after for fellowship as long as time allows. And a lot of times, great discussions on whatever was talked about during the lesson or the evening or the event can be revisited and even fleshed out more in these post conversations afterwards. So I would encourage you to really make it a priority to end on time. It's not that you never go long, but I would make that very much the exception rather than the rule. And so whether it's a Sunday worship, a midweek, or a group Bible talk, or maybe even just a simple fun event, even these principles will help all of those things go so much better when we remember to set the atmosphere, we include everybody in, and then we keep everything moving along in an orderly progression. So I really encourage you to really tend to your gatherings and make sure that everybody enjoys their time and they experience God's church as one being full of love. Thanks a lot. Have a great week.